My wife secretly kept paying her ex's rent while we saved for our first home together. Then I gave her a shock she never saw coming. Before we go on, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling us which city you're tuning in from. My wife and I have been saving for almost 2 years to buy our first house. Every month, money was missing. Camila blamed the supermarket, the utilities, the insurance, any normal expense. I believed her until I discovered that for almost a year, she had been paying her ex's rent while telling me that we couldn't even afford a dinner out. They weren't small aids. It wasn't a one-time emergency. It wasn't a clear loan discussed between the two of us, noted on a spreadsheet, and accepted as a couple. For 11 months, Camila transferred money to the same man. Sometimes she paid the rent directly. Other times, she covered utilities, medications, arrears, and what she called recovery expenses. The man was Sergio Mendoza, her ex-boyfriend, the man with whom, according to her, she had had no contact since before our marriage. While he kept his apartment, I brought prepared food to work to avoid spending. I postponed a dental treatment. I refused outings with my friends. I passed on a professional certification that could improve my salary. I sold a motorcycle that I had been restoring for years. All because Camila insisted that we had to sacrifice for our house. Our house. That was the name we gave to the future she was using to pay for another man's roof. My name is Andres. I was 36 when it all happened. Camila was 34, and we had been married for 4 years. We met at an insurance company. She worked in administration and I in risk analysis. There was no big romantic scene or explosive story. First we had lunch together, then we went out a few times. 2 years later we got married. Camila seemed organized. She liked lists, clear accounts, spreadsheets, and budgets. I trusted her to handle many payments because her job was full of invoices, due dates, and bank movements. I never imagined that skill could also be used to hide money. During the first few years, we rented an apartment. It wasn't terrible, but the landlord raised the price every time we renewed. Every repair took weeks. Every notice of an increase reminded us that we were paying for a house that would never be ours. One night, another message from the landlord arrived. Camila put a notebook on the table. We have to stop throwing away money on rent. I agree. If we continue like this, in 5 years, we will have paid for someone else's house. She opened the notebook. She already had several figures written down. Down payment, legal expenses, appraisal, taxes, emergency reserve, initial repairs. The total amount seemed huge, but possible. We could do it in 2 years, she assured. 2 years if we're disciplined. That word started as motivation. Then it became a tool against me. We created a joint account exclusively for the house. Each month, I would deposit a fixed amount and Camila the other. Since I earned a little more, my contribution was greater. It didn't bother me. It seemed fair. We also agreed to reduce personal expenses, fewer restaurants, no expensive vacations. Large purchases only after discussing them. Work bonuses destined for the fund. Extra income divided between savings and emergencies. Camila seemed excited. This will be our new stage. We haven't even started yet. That's why we have to visualize it. An extra room, she murmured, looking at the notebook. For visitors. For now, she smiled. Me too. We wanted children. Not right away. First a house, then a family. In my head, the plan made sense. Save by stabilize, grow. The first few months worked well. I deposited my part the same day I received my salary. Camila did the same a few days later. We checked the balance at the end of the month and celebrated each advance. We didn't spend much, but we felt that every sacrifice had a direction. When a colleague suggested eating out, I would take out my food container. I'm saving for a house. When my brother organized a short trip, I declined the invitation. Not this year, maybe next. Camila also said she was cutting expenses. We cooked more. We canceled 2 entertainment platforms. We stopped ordering takeout. She sold clothes and objects she no longer used. I thought we were both pushing in the same direction. The first sign appeared around the 6th month. The account had less money than expected. It wasn't a huge difference, but my calculation showed that it should be about $1,500 less. I mentioned it to her one night. Camila opened the banking app and moved her finger across the screen. The supermarket was horrible this month. That much. The utilities were also high. Those payments come out of the expense account, not the house account. I had to cover a bill from here because the other account was short. Which bill? Electricity and car insurance. She showed me two movements. They were real. Still, they didn't explain the whole difference. There's more missing, I insisted. Camila put the phone on the table. Andres, there are small expenses you're not considering. Medications, transportation, household things, it all adds up. I didn't want to turn saving into a fight. Let's review next month's budget. Exactly. We need to tighten our belts a little more. I accepted. I canceled the subscription I used for training. I started bringing lunch every day. I stopped buying coffee out, even though it was one of my few pleasures during long days. Camila started to monitor my expenses with a new intensity. One afternoon, she saw a charge for $12. I had lunch with the team. I explained, "You didn't bring food?" I forgot. $12 may seem like little, but if you do that every week, it's almost $50 a month. It was once. Every penny counts. I didn't argue. In theory, she was right. The problem was that while she was talking to me about $12, she was sending $800 to Sergio. I didn't know it yet. The following month, money was missing again. This time the difference was around $2,000 compared to my projection. Camila blamed a car repair. The workshop was more expensive. The repair cost $600. I also paid the annual insurance. I thought it was due next month. Show me the movements. Her expression changed. Now you don't trust me. It's not that. Then why do you want to check everything? Because we're saving for a house and the account doesn't add up. I manage almost all the payments. There are things you don't see. That's why I want to see them. It seems like you're auditing me. We're both on the account, and I'm the one who makes sure everything is paid. The argument stopped being about money and started to revolve around my supposed distrust. That pattern repeated for months. I would ask about a figure. She would turn the question into an attack. I would end up apologizing for making her feel watched. The money kept disappearing. During the second year, we found a house we liked. It was small, in a quiet area, and had 2 bedrooms. The price was in our range. We visited it twice. Camila walked through the rooms, imagining changes. Here we would put the desk and the other room. For now, visitors. For now. We spoke with a mortgage advisor. He reviewed our income, debts, and savings. We could get a pre-approval, but we needed to complete the down payment and maintain a minimum reserve. According to my calculations, we should have been close. According to the account, we were far. The advisor looked at the balance and was direct. You're about $12,000 short to be comfortable with the initial expenses. I thought we were closer. Camila intervened before I could continue. We had several unexpected expenses. How much are we talking about? Repairs, utilities, family matters. Family matters. The phrase passed in front of me without making a sound. At that moment, I didn't understand its true size. The house was sold to someone else before we could make an offer. Camila cried that night. It was perfect. We'll find another one. If we had saved faster, it could have been ours. The phrase hit me because I felt I was already doing everything I could. I'm depositing more than agreed. I'm not saying you're not. So what else do we do? Cut expenses. We hardly go out anymore. Can we cut more? Where from? Your certification can wait. I have been talking for months about a certification that could help me get a promotion. The course costs money, but it could also improve our income. It's a professional investment. The house is also an investment. With a certification, I could earn more, but the money would have to come out now, just a part of it. Camila shook her head. I thought the house was your priority. I felt selfish. I canceled the course. 2 weeks later, she transferred $1,000 to Sergio. I also postponed a dental treatment. It wasn't an emergency, but I needed a crown. The dentist warned that waiting could complicate it. Camila reviewed the budget. It can wait a few months. That's what the dentist said, but he doesn't recommend it. The house is getting further and further away. My tooth also costs money. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, just that maybe we can wait. I waited. That same month, Sergio received money for rent and medication. On our anniversary, I proposed a simple dinner. Nothing expensive, just going out for a few hours. Camila calculated the cost before agreeing. $50 or $60, I said. We can cook here. It's our anniversary, and our house is more important. We ended up having dinner at the apartment. She talked about the sacrifices we were making together. The next day, she transferred $850 to her ex. The account was growing at an absurd pace. I started to think that maybe we didn't earn enough. I accepted overtime. I worked 2 Saturdays a month. I sold the motorcycle I had been restoring since before I met Camila. It wasn't a luxury, it was a personal project. I had bought it cheap, repaired it little by little, and someday I wanted to use it for short trips. Camila saw the ad. We can surely add that money to the down payment. She hugged me. Thank you. I know how much it means to you. I sold it. We deposited the money. A month later, the account was almost the same because Camila had withdrawn a similar amount. When I asked, she talked about a medical debt of her mother's. It was partially true. She had sent part to her mother, the other part had gone to Sergio. Partial truths were the basis of all her lies. She never invented everything. She would place a real explanation in front of the gap. A high utility bill, a real repair, a medication, a family expense. Behind that, she would hide the transfer. Over time, I started to feel ashamed to ask. Camila had managed to make every review seem like an attack. One night, I bought a simple gift for my mother. It was her birthday, $60. Camila saw the charge. You could have looked for something cheaper. It's my mother's birthday. It's not a weekly purchase. It all adds up. Camila, I sold my motorcycle. I work overtime. I cancel my course. We both sacrifice. What have you given up? The question came out before I could stop it. Her face hardened. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it to compete. It seems like it. I'm just asking. I've given up trips, clothes, outings, and many things. That's fine, isn't it? It seems like you think only you're making an effort. The argument ended with her crying and me apologizing. The next morning, she canceled a personal purchase and showed me the receipt. So you can see that I'm also committed. I felt bad for having doubted. That same afternoon, she sent $900 to Sergio. Everything changed when the bank asked for documentation to update the pre-approval. We had found another property, it was cheaper, and we needed to present complete bank statement from the last few months. Camila usually prepared the documents, but that week she was out of town for work. She sent me a message. You can download the statements from the computer. The password is saved. I had no reason to suspect. I logged into the joint account and downloaded the documents. While I was reviewing deposits and balances, I saw a monthly transfer to an account ending in the same 4 numbers. Concept, rent support. Amount, $800. I checked the beneficiary. Sergio Mendoza. The name took a second to connect with my memory. Sergio was Camila's ex. They had been together for almost 5 years. According to her, it had all ended long before we started. She spoke little of him. I only knew that the breakup had been complicated and that he hadn't taken the end well. I opened the details. The phone number was partially hidden, but I recognized the last digits. I had seen them years ago when Camila showed me messages he sent her after our wedding. It was him. My first impulse was to call her. I didn't. I sat in front of the screen, cold, with short breath. I opened the previous month. Another transfer, $800. Concept rent. Previous month, $950. Rent plus utilities. Another month, $1,000. Urgent help. I kept scrolling back. 2 months, 5, 8, 11. There were 11 months of regular transfers. Some came directly from the joint account. Others went first to Camila's personal account and 2 days later to Sergio. The direct total exceeded $9,000, but there was more. $1,000 for deposit, $600 for medication, $450 for overdue electricity. When I added everything up, the verifiable figure reached $12,900, the same approximate amount we were short to make an offer on the first house. I got up from the chair, walked around the apartment, sat down again, opened the movements again. I wanted to find a less serious explanation, an old loan, a legal debt, a prior obligation, something. Nothing changed the essential. She had used money intended for our house and had hidden it from me. I remembered every argument. The $12 coffee, my mother's purse, my certification, the dental treatment, our anniversary dinner, the motorcycle, the vacations. Every time Camila repeated that every penny counted, She sent hundreds of dollars to another man. I downloaded everything. Bank statements, receipts, dates, beneficiaries. I saved copies in private storage, sent others to a new email. The next day, I printed the most important movements of the office. I didn't confront her when she returned from her trip. She came in with her suitcase and hugged me. I missed you. My body went rigid. Everything okay? Yes. Did you download the documents? Yes. Perfect. We need to send them tomorrow. I'll review them again. She smiled. Don't obsess. The money seems less when you look at so many expenses together. So many expenses. I nodded. That night, I waited for her to fall asleep. I didn't check her phone. I didn't want to cross boundaries unnecessarily. But the transfers were no longer a suspicion. They were facts. I needed to know if Sergio was just a beneficiary or if he still occupied an emotional place in my marriage. Camila had left a messaging session open on the shared tablet. The app showed recent conversations. I searched for Sergio, nothing. I searched for rent, nothing. I searched for rent, nothing. I searched for help, nothing. Then I saw a contact named Sony Administration. The last message said, I already transferred this month's. I can't send more. I opened it. It was Sergio. Camila had changed his name. The messages began months ago. I don't know what I'm going to do if they evict me from the apartment. I'll try to help you. I don't want to cause you problems. Andres doesn't know. Why don't you tell him? Because he wouldn't understand. I had to put the tablet down on the table. That sentence hit me harder than the money. She not only knew I wouldn't agree, she knew that hiding it was the only way to maintain it. I kept reading. Sergio talked about anxiety, depression, and fear of being alone. He said he couldn't work steadily, that bosses didn't understand his situation, that his family had abandoned him. Camila responded like someone who felt responsible. Just hold on this month. I'll see how I can cover the rent. You can't stop the treatment. Promise me you won't do anything crazy. At first, it seemed like concern, then something worse appeared. Intimacy. There were no sexual messages, no direct declarations of love, but there were conversations that shouldn't exist in secret within a marriage. Sergio knew when we argued. He knew we were saving for a house. He knew I had sold a motorcycle. He knew I had postponed the certification. A message from him left me motionless. Your husband seems obsessed with buying. It's important to him, Camila replied. To you too. Yes, but now you're worse off. Now you're worse off. That sentence summed up our life. My tooth could wait because Sergio was worse off. My course could wait because Sergio was worse off. Our house could wait because Sergio was worse off. Our anniversary could wait because Sergio was worse off. In another message, Sergio warned that when we bought the house, she wouldn't be able to help him as much. Camila replied, I hope you're stable by then. That's a long way off. I know. He knew the background. He knew the goal. He knew his rent was coming from the money that was delaying our house, and yet he accepted. In another conversation, he asked for more money because the landlord was threatening to evict him. Camila wrote that that month was difficult because Andres was checking the accounts more. Sergio replied, tell him the expenses went up. She took a while to answer. I'm not going to lie to him directly. I stare at that sentence. I'm not going to lie to him directly. As if changing names, moving money, and hiding 11 months of transfers was something else. Sergio insisted. You guys can make it back. It's not that easy. He earns well. He works a lot, so it shouldn't be a problem. I felt a silent rage. That man considered my overtime hours part of his resources. I worked Saturdays. He paid rent. I sold things. He kept his apartment. I canceled plans. He received recovery expenses. I kept reading. I found no evidence of romantic encounters, but I did find 2 visits to Sergio's apartment. One to bring medication, another to check on him because he wasn't answering messages. Both times Camila had told me she was helping her mother. I saved screenshots. I didn't want to depend on a session that could be closed. Then I made a list. Transfer date. Amount. Camila's explanation. My sacrifice. First, $800 to Sergio. Camila said the utilities had gone up. I canceled a family outing. Second month. $1,000 to Sergio. Camila blamed the car repair. I canceled the certification. Third month. $950 to Sergio. Camila talked about her mother's medical expenses. I postponed the dentist. Fourth month. For the deposit on Sergio's apartment. Camila talked about too many unforeseen events. I sold the motorcycle. Fifth month, $850 to Sergio. Camila rejected our anniversary dinner because the house was more important. The list grew. Each line was a part of my life, changed by a decision I could never make. The total was $12,900 verifiable. In addition, there were cash withdrawals and transfers to Camila's personal account that I couldn't fully trace. I calculated how much should have been in the fund if we had both followed the plan. More than $16,000 was missing. Not all of it had gone to Sergio, but a huge part of it had. Our pre-approval was going to fail. Another house would be lost. Not because we didn't earn enough, but because Camila had made her ex's rent a secret marital priority. For 2 days, I acted normally. It wasn't easy. Camila talked about houses, rates, and budgets as if nothing was wrong. One morning, she showed me an ad. Look, this one's nice. It has an extra room. Yes, we could see on Saturday. First, we need to check the down payment again. The advisor is going to ask for the statements. He already has them. We have less money than expected. Camila drank coffee. This year was difficult. Why did everything go up? Everything. Her hand barely stopped. Yes, rents too. There was a small pause, but I saw it. Of course, that's why we have to buy as soon as possible. I nodded. I didn't want to confront her without knowing how to protect my salary or what rights I had over the joint account. I had contributed more, but the money was in both our names. I couldn't withdraw everything on impulse. I made an appointment with a financial advisor. I also consulted with a matrimonial lawyer by phone. I didn't initiate anything yet. I just explained that I had discovered hidden transfers from shared account. The lawyer was clear. Download all statements. Document your contributions. Don't empty it. Change your salary deposit to an individual account for future payments. Keep enough in the joint account for common obligations. Don't sign any mortgage until this is resolved. That last sentence finally shattered the illusion. Don't sign any mortgage. The house ceased to be a goal. It became a risk. I opened an individual account at another bank. I scheduled my next salary there. I didn't cancel payments for the apartment, utilities, or insurance. I continued to cover my part, but no new money would go into the house fund. I also called the mortgage advisor. I need to pause the process. Something came up. There are financial inconsistencies I need to resolve. Do you want to review options? No. For now, we won't present anything. I hung up with a strange feeling. We had lost another house. This time I already knew why. That night, Camila came home with ingredients for dinner. She was cheerful. We need to talk about the budget. I almost laughed. Sure. This month we'll have to tighten our belts a bit more because the account is very low and several payments are coming up. Which ones? Insurance, utilities, and some family things. What family things? She tensed up. My mother needs help. How much? I don't know yet. Does anyone else need help? She looked at me for several seconds. Why are you asking like that? I want to know where our money is going. We've already talked about this. No, you talk and I cut back. That's unfair. Is it? We both sacrifice. Sure. She put the bag on the table. What's wrong with you? I had the folder with the bank statements on my desk. I had screenshots, dates, messages, totals, a new account, a legal consultation, and a mortgage process on hold. I could have confronted her right then, but I wanted one last spontaneous answer. Is there any expense you haven't told me about? Camila looked away. No. Any important transfer. No, not that I remember. Any monthly payment. Her expression changed. Andres, I don't know what you're trying to do. Asking seems like an interrogation. It's a simple question. I already answered you. She lied, looking me in the eye. It wasn't a partial truth. It wasn't an omission. It was a direct lie. Okay. Okay, what? Nothing. I just wanted to make sure. She started to take out the groceries and talked about canceling any plans that month, about cooking at home, about not going out, about postponing my dental treatment a little longer, about looking for a cheaper house, about sacrificing together. I nodded without arguing. I'd already seen the bank statements. I knew that for almost a year our future had paid for her ex's rent. I knew that Sergio knew our plans. I knew that Camila had visited him and had lied about where she was. I knew that she blamed me for small expenses while diverting thousands. That night, I didn't argue. I waited for her to finish talking. Then I looked at the closed folder on my desk. The individual account was already open. The mortgage application was on hold. The documents were saved. My salary for the next month would no longer go into an account that financed secrets. Camila had decided for 11 months what to do with our money without asking me. I had just made the first financial decision that I didn't need to share with her. The next morning, I put the folder on the table. Our first house has been paying your ex's rent for almost a year. I want to know why. Camila didn't answer. First, she looked at the folder, then at me, then back at the folder as if she needed to calculate how many there were before choosing the next lie. What are you talking about? About Sergio. Her face lost its color. What about Sergio? 12,900 verifiable, 11 months of transfers, rent, utilities, medication, and a deposit for his apartment. Camila remained motionless. I opened the folder, took out the bank statements one by one. $800, $1,000, $950, $1,000 for the deposit, $850 the day after our anniversary, when a dinner was too expensive because the house was more important. Camila took a breath. Let me explain. First, tell me if you're going to deny the transfers. No, you denied them last night. I didn't understand what you were asking. I asked you if there was any monthly payment you hadn't told me about. I felt interrogated. Because you knew the answer. She sat down across from me. I didn't take back the documents. Sergio was going through a serious situation. Since when have you been talking to him? It's not what you think. I didn't ask what I think. I asked since when. About a year ago. 11 months. Yes. You told me you had no contact with him. We didn't have a relationship. That doesn't answer the question either. Camila rubbed her hands. She did that when she wanted to seem calm. He wrote to me because he had lost his job. He was very down. He had no one. He has family. They don't talk. He has friends. He pushed them all away. He's over 30. Depression doesn't disappear just because you're over 30. I never said that. Then try to understand. There was the word understand. The same one she had written in the messages. The same one that had left me out of every decision. Explain to me what I should understand. He was on the verge of eviction. He was on medication. He couldn't hold down a steady job. And you decided to pay his rent. At first, it was just for a month. It was 11. Every time it seemed like he was about to get stable. And every time we had to tighten our belts more. I didn't do it to hurt you. I sold my motorcycle. I know. I canceled the certification. I know. I postponed a dental treatment. I also know. So you knew exactly what I was sacrificing? Camila looked down. I thought we would recover it. When? With time, with my overtime. Don't say that. With what money, Camila? We both work. I contributed more to the account. I worked Saturdays because money was missing. You knew why it was missing, and you let me believe it was bills. There were also real expenses. You used real expenses to hide the transfers. She stood up. It wasn't like that. Of course it was like that. The utilities had gone up, but they didn't explain everything. You helped your mother, but a part ended up with Sergio. The car repair existed, but then you sent $1,000. You're making it seem calculated. You changed his name on the tablet. That sentence stopped her. You checked my messages. The session was open. That's an invasion of privacy. You hid your ex as Sony administration. You had no right. You used common money. You talked about our marriage. You told him I sold the motorcycle. You told him I was checking the accounts, and he suggested you tell me the expenses had gone up. I told him I wasn't going to lie to you. You were already lying to me. Not in that way. I looked at her without moving. What way of lying do you consider acceptable? Camila crossed her arms. Nothing happened between us. I didn't say you slept together. But you think so. I think you protected another man emotionally and financially while turning my life into a list of things that could wait. He was at risk. Then he needed professional help. He was receiving it. And he was also receiving our money. It wasn't ours. Most of it came from my personal account. I opened another sheet. First, you transferred from the joint account to your account. Then you sent it to him. That makes it only yours. I also contributed. You contributed an amount and withdrew another without telling me. while I continued to deposit according to the plan. I didn't steal it. You took money destined for a common goal and decided on your own that it would finance your ex. Don't use that word. Which one? Ex. That's what he is. He was a person in crisis. He was also your ex, and you hid it. Camila started to cry. Before, that crying would make me abandon any argument to comfort her. This time I didn't move. Did you want me to leave him on the street? I wanted you not to decide for me. If I had told you, you would have said no. Probably. Exactly. That didn't give you the right to do it behind my back. I couldn't live with the idea that he would harm himself. And I had to live without knowing that our future was paying his rent. Don't you understand how he was? No, I don't. Camila looked up. I knew it. What did you know? I knew you wouldn't understand. That was the phrase, not an apology, not an explanation, a complete justification, as if my disagreement had been a flaw she had to avoid, as if hiding almost a year transfers was reasonable because I would have had a different opinion, as if marriage consisted of talking only when the other person was going to approve. I nodded slowly. You're right. What? I don't understand, Andres. I don't understand why our future should pay for the rent of your past. I don't understand why I was bringing food to work while he was receiving hundreds of dollars a month. I don't understand why my treatment could wait, but his medication couldn't. I don't understand why my certification was a luxury and his apartment an obligation. I don't understand why you control me for $12 while transferring $1,000. I never called you irresponsible. You asked me if a dinner or the house was more important. That's not calling you irresponsible. The house wasn't even the real priority. If it were, the money would be there. We can recover it. I don't want to recover it with you. The crying stopped. What does that mean? That I'm not going to buy a house with you anymore. You're talking out of anger. I called the mortgage advisor. The process is on hold. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I also changed my salary deposit. The next payment will go into an individual account. You did that without talking to me, like you did 11 months of transfers. It's not the same. You're right. My future salary is not yet joint money. The fund you used was. You can't make decisions like that. You just explained that one can make unilateral decisions if they believe the other won't understand. Don't use my words against me. They're the only ones you haven't denied. Camila slumped into the chair. Are you going to leave me? I'm going to protect myself. That doesn't answer the question. I consulted a lawyer. Her expression changed from sadness to fear. A lawyer? Yes. Before talking to you, before confronting you, I needed to know what I could do with the account without making a mistake. So you were already prepared to end it. I was prepared to prevent you from continuing to move money while we talked. I wasn't going to send more. There's a transfer scheduled for next week. Silence. I saw it. 800. It was the last one. They all seemed like the last one. Sergio is looking for a job. That no longer matters to me financially. How cold? Cold was watching me sell something important to me and accepting that money, knowing that part of it could end up in his rent. I also sold things. How much of that money went to the house? She didn't answer. How much? I don't know. I do, very little. I didn't keep track of it that way. I did. Now, I took out the spreadsheet. Camila looked at it. Dates, transfers, explanations, sacrifices. Total. You made a table. I needed to see the truth without your summaries. It looks like a legal accusation. It's a financial history. Are you going to show it to someone? To the lawyer, if necessary. Andres, please. I haven't published anything. I haven't called your family. I haven't written to Sergio. I'm talking to you. Then let's talk. That's what we're doing. No, you've already decided. I've decided to separate the money. I still have to think about the marriage. We can go to therapy. Maybe. I can return it. With what? With my salary. It would take years. I'll do it. And in the meantime, I'll stop helping him. Because you understood the damage, or because I found you out? Camila wiped her tears. That's unfair. It's the central question. I know it was wrong to hide it. Since when did you know? From the beginning. The honesty came late, but it came. Then it wasn't a mistake, it was a plan. I didn't want to lose you. That's why you lied to me. I was afraid. Of me or of stopping to finance him. Of you forcing me to choose. You already chose, didn't you? Yes. Every month you chose that his stability was worth more than our consent. I don't love him. You don't have to love someone to betray a marriage. There was no infidelity. There was emotional intimacy, secrets, visits, money, and lies. The visits were for his health. You told me you were with your mother, because I knew how you would react. Again, I didn't want to fight. You wanted the freedom to do what you wanted without facing my response. Camila cried again. What do you want me to do? For now, nothing with my money. The joint account will be used only for rent, utilities, insurance, and agreed-upon expenses. I will no longer deposit into the house fund. Any transfer will require authorization from both of us, and the money that's already there. I'm not going to empty it. The lawyer recommended I document contributions and keep it frozen until we decide how to divide it. Frozen in a practical sense. It's not to be touched, except for common expenses. You're treating me like a thief. I'm treating the account like an account that has already been used without my consent. You can't live watching me. I don't plan to. Then trust me. That no longer exists. The sentence left her quiet. I didn't say it would never come back. I didn't say it was impossible. I just said the truth. Trust wasn't available because she had spent it along with the money. Camila left the apartment a few hours later. I need to think. She went to her mother's house. I changed passwords for emails, documents, and personal accounts. I didn't block joint services. I didn't touch her money. I didn't do anything that seemed like impulsive punishment. I organized, separated, documented. Then I called the dentist and made an appointment. It may seem like a minor detail. For me, it wasn't. I had been postponing that treatment for months because the house was far away. The house was no longer a shared goal. My health stopped waiting. The next day, I received a message from an unknown number. Hi, it's Sergio. I think we should talk. I saved a screenshot before replying. Everything related to money should be done in writing. I don't want money. I want to explain. Explain. It took a few minutes. Camila was just trying to help me. I was in a very bad place. I know. I thought you knew. That was a lie. I had screenshots where he asked why she wasn't telling me and where he suggested hiding the expense. I have the messages. Almost 10 minutes passed. Okay. I knew she hadn't told you everything. I knew the transfers were secret. Yes. I knew we were saving for a house. Yes. I knew I was working overtime. She mentioned something, and you still accepted the money. I was desperate. For 11 months. You have no idea what I went through, and you have no idea what you financed. I'm going to pay it back. When I can. That's not a plan. I have a part-time job now. Send it in writing to Camila. I have no financial relationship with you. She said you wouldn't understand. She was right. Are you going to destroy your marriage over this? I looked at the screen. The man who had accepted almost a year of secret money now intended to explain to me that I should protect my marriage. My marriage is not being destroyed because of you. It's being destroyed by the decision she made with you. Nothing happened between us. That doesn't change the bank statements. She still loves you. Don't talk to me about my marriage again. I blocked him after saving the conversation. Camila returned that night, accompanied by her mother, Teresa. My mother-in-law came in with a mix of concern and reproach. We need to talk as a family. This matter is between Camila and me. I'm her mother, and Sergio is not her husband. Teresa frowned. There's no need to be aggressive. I'm not being aggressive. Camila left a bag by the door. Mom just wants to help us. Did you tell her everything? I told her what's important. Did you tell her how much money you sent? Teresa intervened. Camila was trying to help a depressed person. You didn't answer. I looked at Camila. Did you tell her the total, approximately? Tell him. Andres. 12,900 verifiable. My mother-in-law's eyes widened. That much. It was for almost a year, Camila admitted. There are also other missing movements. The hole in the account exceeds $16,000. Teresa sat down. Camila, you told me it was a few payments. There were monthly payments. Where did the money come from? From my contributions and from the account. From the house account, I clarified. Teresa was silent. The version of I helped someone depressed sounded different with 11 months and almost $13,000 on top of the table. I'm not saying it was right to hide it, she began. But a marriage can recover from money. It's not just money. There was no infidelity. That doesn't make financial deception acceptable. Camila was worried about a life. If Sergio was in danger, she should have called professionals, his family, or emergency services, not secretly finance an apartment for a year. He didn't trust anyone else. That doesn't make me responsible. She thought you wouldn't understand. And that's why she decided I would pay without knowing. Teresa looked at her daughter. He put in all the money. No, Camila replied. I also contributed. And you withdrew. Not everything sent came from the joint account, but we both covered the shortfall. Every time you used your salary for Sergio, I paid more expenses and deposited more into the fund. My mother-in-law sighed. What are you going to do? Immediate financial separation. Pause on any joint purchase. Then I will decide what to do with the marriage. Divorce is a possibility. Teresa shook her head. Don't destroy your home over jealousy. It's not jealousy, it's bank statements. But it's her ex. That affects you. It would affect me the same if she had sent money to any person in secret. That it was her ex adds another betrayal. It doesn't replace the main one. Camila spoke for the first time in several minutes. I want therapy. We can have a session to decide how to move forward. Just one. I'm not promising reconciliation, so you don't love me anymore. Don't use love to avoid responsibility. I'm trying to save our marriage. I was trying to buy a house while you were saving Sergio. Teresa stood up. That was unnecessary. It was accurate. My mother-in-law left, annoyed. Camila stayed that night. I slept in the living room by choice. I didn't want to share a bed while we were talking about separation. Over the next few days, Camila's family started calling. Her brother was the first. She made a mistake. But you're exaggerating. How much do you think she sent? I don't know. Almost $13,000. Silence. Well, you can get it back. Then pay me half, and then collect it from Sergio. He didn't answer. A friend of Camila's wrote that I was punishing compassion. Compassion with someone else's money needs consent. She didn't write back. My own mother tried to be neutral. Think carefully before you get a divorce. I am. Couples get through worse things. That doesn't make this small. She's willing to stop talking to him. That's what she says. Maybe you can rebuild. Maybe. But first I need to know if I want. I didn't ask anyone to choose sides. I didn't publish the transfers. I didn't look for Sergio. I didn't try to humiliate Camila at her job. Everything remained within the legal and close family process. That didn't stop her from presenting herself as a woman whom I wanted to abandon for having helped a depressed man. The first therapy session showed the real problem. The therapist listened without interrupting. Then she looked at Camila. Why didn't you tell him? Because I knew he would object. What did his objection mean? That Sergio could end up on the street. Did you consider using only personal money after fulfilling your joint obligations? Camila hesitated. It wasn't enough. So, you needed part of Andres' money. Yes. Did you consider that he had a right to decide? Yes, but I knew he would say no. The therapist paused for a few seconds. So you didn't avoid an argument. You avoided your husband being able to deny the use of his own money. Camila started to cry. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt sadness because the sentence was simple and clear. She took away my right to say no. During the following sessions, she tried to explain that Sergio was emotionally manipulating her. I believed it. The messages showed pressure. You're the only one I have left. I don't know what I'll do if I lose the apartment. I thought you still cared about me. But Sergio's manipulation didn't eliminate Camila's decisions. She could have asked for help. She could have talked to me. She could have set boundaries. She could have contacted his family. She could have transferred once and stopped. Instead, she changed his name, deleted messages, moved money, and blamed me for small expenses. The therapist asked if there had been physical contact. Camila denied it. We never had a relationship after my marriage. You visited him twice. Did your husband know? No. Why? Because it seemed wrong. The therapist repeated the question calmly. Because your husband didn't know. Camila took a long time. Because I knew he wouldn't agree. Everything came back to the same point. I knew you wouldn't understand. I knew you wouldn't agree. I knew you would say no. That's why I did it. After 4 sessions, I understood something. I wasn't trying to decide if I could forgive her. I was trying to force myself to want to rebuild, and I didn't. Financial trust was broken, emotional trust too. Every time Camila looked at her phone, I thought of Sergio. Every time she mentioned an expense, I remembered the transfers. Every time she talked about her house, I felt she was talking about a dead project. One night, after another session, I made the decision. I want to separate. Camila stood still. Temporarily. No, Andres. I'm going to file for divorce. Over money, over decisions. I can pay it back. You can't pay back 11 months of lies. I can prove to you that I've ended contact. I don't want to live verifying it. We can start over. I don't want to sign a mortgage with someone who hid this from me. I would never do it again. Maybe not, but I don't want to build a house on the need to check. So, nothing I do matters. Your actions will matter for your next stage, not necessarily for saving this one. You're punishing me forever. I'm not. I'm deciding where I put my future. The financial separation made the process more orderly. The joint fund was divided with legal advice according to contributions and obligations. I didn't recover everything I had lost. Part of the money was spent. Sergio had no real ability to repay immediately. Camila signed an agreement acknowledging certain movements and agreed to assume a larger part of some common debts. It wasn't a perfect victory. The missing money didn't magically reappear. The house we wanted was sold. The favorable mortgage rate expired. My motorcycle already belonged to someone else. The certification would have to wait a few more months, but I stopped losing. That was the important thing. Sergio got a full-time job shortly after Camila stopped paying him. I wasn't surprised. For almost a year, he couldn't get stable. When the money ran out, he found a solution in less than 2 months. He sent a small repayment proposal to Camila. She accepted. I didn't want to get involved directly. My lawyer recorded that any repayment related to common funds should be considered in the agreement. Sergio wrote to me again from another number. I'm sorry about everything. I never wanted to cause a divorce. I replied only once. You didn't cause it alone, but you accepted money you knew was secret. Don't contact me again. I blocked him. Camila left the apartment at the end of the contract. I didn't stay either. The place was too connected to a goal that no longer existed. I rented something smaller. The first week I made a new budget. Income, rent, utilities, dental treatment, certification, savings. For the first time in almost 2 years, every figure matched. There was no missing money, no ambiguous expenses appeared. There were no family matters without explanation. There were no scheduled transfers. There was nothing to sell. The first month, I saved less than I used to contribute to the joint fund because I started paying for postponed things. Still, the balance grew exactly as it should. That precision gave me more peace than any promise. I resumed the certification 6 months later. Not to prove anything. It was an investment I should have always allowed myself. I also started saving for a home on my own. The goal was more modest. It would take longer. I no longer had 2 incomes, but every penny stayed where I put it. Camila wrote to me when the divorce was almost final. I found a box with pictures of the houses we saw. I didn't answer right away. Then another message came. I really wanted that life with you. Me too. So why can't we try? Because wanting a life is useless if you're secretly financing another. She took a long time to respond. I know you'll never understand. I looked at that sentence for a long time. The same idea. Maybe it wasn't an accusation anymore. Maybe it was resignation. You're right. I never understood why our future had to pay for your past rent. She didn't write back. We signed the divorce months later. There was no last dramatic scene. There were no shouts in a courtroom. There were no romantic confessions. Just documents, separate accounts, closed responsibilities, and a goal we no longer shared. For almost a year, I brought food to work, canceled trips, and postponed my plans to buy a house with my wife. She used that sacrifice to give a house to her ex. When I understood it, our joint account stopped being a project and became evidence. Camila said she knew I wouldn't understand. She was right. I never understood why my health, my rest, and our marriage could wait for another man to keep his apartment. That's why I stopped arguing. I separated my money, stopped the mortgage, consulted a lawyer, and got out of a life when my consent only mattered when it coincided with what she had decided. We didn't buy our first house together. Months later, I started saving for mine. This time the money didn't disappear because my right to decide had also stopped disappearing.